Hello and welcome to the last edition of JNI for this week. Hope you had a very wonderful holiday yesterday. Today, yes, we'll be talking about a lot of things that are coming up from the President's address at the UN General Assembly yesterday. I'm sure you may have seen a photo of actually a minister and a deputy chief of staff. And it is alleged they are taking a selfie that has gone really viral. I'll be taking your comments on that. And also the president has asked the UN to be fair to Africa. What do you think about that? We'll be taking your comments. And well, North Korea's president has responded to Donald Trump and says, you know what, you will pay for that speech you delivered at the UN General Assembly. All this plus more and our video of the day. That's just a little teaser. I'll play the full one for you when I'm showing you our video of the day. You're welcome to the show. Let's start off. It was a very rainy morning here in Accra and in some parts of Tema. And we put onto our Facebook page asking you how that has affected your plans for the day. And also wherever you are in the country, what the weather is like. And just pick a few comments on that. Yakubu Ibn Chambers says, well, of course, downpours in Accra have always altered the course of business activities. The city has been designed incongruent to inevitable occurrences like rain. It's not the same, well, as Europe, he says, where a simple downpour wouldn't hold productivity. City authorities must do something about it. Ohineba Kuikwa Naniaje says, well, it started at dawn, but no more at Ahanta West. So it's also rained at Ahanta West. Favor Debbie Hayfron says, it wasn't easy, all right. Sweetness Alin Hula says, well, it's sunny here in Takrade. We don't have anything like heavy downpours as recorded in other parts of the country. Augustina Aqua says, it's raining here in Mankesim, Central Region. Amadou Ndebugri says, well, he's not in Accra, but it's raining in Boku, and that was 2 hours ago, but he's not affected. Adi Wadud says, it's not raining in Kaswa. Rex Omenya says, well, still raining 1 hour ago in Spintex. Apengna Emi says, at Kolebu, it's not easy at all. And Albert Akwesi Owusu says, serious rain this morning. Albert Akwesi comes back to say yes. Sheila says, serious rain here at Tema. Ronald says, it's cloudy at Enchi. Abuati Dominic is laughing, is it? I don't know why. Slow Heneba says, well, there's heavy rain at Spintex. Albert Dillion Quay says, well, at Ayarifa is sunny. It's quite interesting how it was sunny in some parts of Accra, but right here, even in Kokumlemle, it was raining so much. I mean, heavy rain. Fatima Salwa says, good. Esther Tete says, it's raining here at Dansoman. Louis, well, says it's sunny in Kumasi. Christopher Nathan thinks this is irrelevant, but anything that affects you concerns us, and that's why we put it on our Facebook page. How have the rains affected you this morning? We know that on the Tema motorway, for example, there were quite a number of car crashes being linked to the rains. I think about an hour ago was at about 12 cars involved. We will bring you updates on that. We do hope the people are safe. Let's now talk about the President's address at the UN General Assembly. It was quite a brief one, but a lot of people have been talking about what he said there and whether or not it made a lot of impact for Africa. For example, he requested that Africa should have a representation on the UN Security Council, and he also asked that well, you know what, just be fair to us. We are part of the UN and we think that we need better treatment than this. But Michael Amenin in the UK says, well, President Akufo-Addo in many local and international gatherings opined the desire and commitment that African leaders must do to wean themselves off from being dependent on aid because it's hampering the progress of the continent. Says the African continent, especially Ghana, has all the human and natural resources to make life better for its citizens. But well, he thinks due to bad leadership and governance, the greed, that is why we've been depending on aid. But poverty is still a huge problem facing the continent. He comes up to say that, well, President Akufo-Addo's speech advocated for an urgent reform of the UN Security Council in addressing the imbalances in the global political system is welcoming news because the international community organization has marginalized the African continent for quite a long time. And that's Michael Amening sending us that from the UK. Abdul Rahman Brahma says, we as Africans have to start being fair to Africa. So, well, that's Abdul's opinion on the president in his UN address, asking that, well, the security, assembly be fair to Africa. Asiedu Mensah says, well, we hope the president and our country Ghana are not going to be sabotaged. Isaac Kelvin Beckham says, bold president. And Andrew, not at all. I don't know what he means by not at all. Kwati Richard also thinks the president was bold in that particular speech. And Sarah Owusu says, you know what, this is actually good. Let's stay on the 72nd UN General Assembly because I think about 2 days ago, the president of the US spoke. He addressed the UN General Assembly and really spoke about North Korea's, missile launches that have been going on for some time, and said, well, if push came to shove, they would have to probably wipe out the whole country. Guess what? North Korea's president has spoken, Kim Jong-un, and he says, you know what? I am going to deal with you. I'm going to make you pay for what you said. And actually, he referred to the US president as deranged. I don't know what you think about that, but this banter between the US president and the North Korean president has gotten a lot of people talking, and quite a number of you have been sharing your thoughts with us on that particular matter. And we'll quickly take your comments on that. Let me know what you think about this particular one. Someone may think, well, it's too far away from us, but hey, it's not too far. If you ask me, these are world martyrs, and I think that we also have a say in world martyrs. We've got some 22 comments on this on our Facebook page. Kwabna Adai says that Kim himself looks like a missile. Interesting. Real IB said Trump should also show something instead of backing always. And Rex Omenya says one day those bombs will mistakenly detonate inside that North Korea. I doubt. Kobe Amma says, is that a haircut or a hairdo? Actually commenting on that haircut of the North Korean president. Emmanuel Kudroji says, you are too small, soon you will not get a hiding place. And Wayne Rich says, tell the Rocket Man, yeah, and that's how Donald Trump referred to him, the Rocket Man, to get a decent haircut so he looks presentable at his, funeral. Meg VA says, she sighs, says, these two guys, referring to the US president and the North Korean president. Ransford Achilles says, Kim, please, when is Trump paying for all this nonsense? Because Kim says, deranged Trump, you will pay for what you said. Kwamna Bedu says, oh, okay. Okay, well, I'm not sure I want to read that. Yahweh Jinkra says, Trump is a cheat whose bullying tactics is met with stiff resistance. Trump has met his meter. Sebastian Owahene Champon says, well, he thinks Kim is rather deranged, not Trump. Ashwood Young says, Trump should just shut this guy up. Boating Kenneth Dankwa says, he thinks that Kim is the next Osama. That's why Trump fears him. Well, Eric Tekbeti Kojo says, what are the missiles for? He's asking Kim, come on. All right. He says, if you want to fight, just direct it to Trump's room. Rahama Abdul, well, okay. Chuck A. Taylor says, more missile Kim because the trumpet is making noise. Ora Kweku says, America has gotten their size. Serious play of politics there. Nanaya Amenema says, well, he thinks that US is afraid, and well, Peter thinks this is not too smart for Kim, saying all of this. Well, those were some of your thoughts on this particular, let's call it, for now, a verbal battle between the president of the US and North Korea, and you've been sharing your thoughts with us on that. The latest is that the North Korean president says that, you know what, Donald Trump, you're deranged, and I'm going to let you pay for that address at the UN General Assembly. But we've got more here on Joy News Interactive. When we come back, I'll be talking to you about a Forbes report that says actually catalogs some countries that have had the most US visa refusals, and Ghana is in 7th place. Cuba is at number 1. Just find out from you, have you ever been denied a visa? Do you mind if you share any experiences with us? And also, we're talking about that video of Otiku Afisa, that picture, I beg your pardon, of Otiku Afisa Jaba and Deputy Chief of Staff, Abu Janapo. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying here on Joy News Interactive. Now let's talk about this particular survey. Is it, well, by Forbes, giving us some statistics about countries that have had the most or the highest percentage in refused U.S. visas. And Ghana is actually number 7. Let me actually show you that particular infographics. If you could just come down a bit, all right, and show you, all right. So Cuba tops it with 81.9%, and this is visa refusal rate for U.S. visas by country in the fiscal year 2016, and it's actually in percentage. Cuba 81.9%, Afghanistan 73.8%, followed by Mauritania at 71.5%, Liberia 70.2%, Gambia 69.9%, Bhutan 68.8%, Ghana at number 7 with 65.7%, closely followed by Burkina Faso with 65.4%, then Haiti 64.5%, Somalia 63.9%, Guinea 63.5%, and Bangladesh 62.8%. So I asked you on Facebook, have you ever applied for a visa? Were you denied? Were you refused? Can you share your experience with us? Or if you have anything to say about this particular statistic coming to us from Forbes. James says, well, for a long period of time, I lived very close to the American embassy. In the mornings and afternoons, I see hundreds of people queuing to be interviewed for various visas. Sadly, now very few were or are successful with the outrageous application fees, especially for study visas. I've always held the view that those huge sums of monies are probably recycled and given back to Ghana as loans. Well, at least it's good. At least it's given back to us. Well, as loans, yeah, they benefit. Well, Prince Seram Koshi says, why is Nigeria not here? Is it like they don't apply at all, or they don't deny them, or perhaps they've added up to Ghana's numbers? That's an interesting one there, question. Yeboah Solomon says, more Vim USA Embassy even extended to our leaders. Well, we know that sometimes our leaders are denied visas, actually. Blessed country like Ghana in terms of natural and human resources, but our leaders can't add any value to them. We export everything of ours in the raw form. Leaders, well, steel and supply resources available to the whole country. Past and present leaders of our country collapsed all factories established by our first president, turning some into churches and so on. Says, you know what, more of him USA. And Hector Rauro says, is that a visa to heaven? I pray one day countries will be chasing Ghana's visas like that. Joe Dunyo says, what am I going to do in the US? Breathe fresh air here? Well, Joseph Neo Darkway Mill says, I rather refuse visas. Visas chasing me like flies. Interesting, Joseph. I've never heard of this. You are refusing the visas. All right. Nee Sterling says, some of us are lucky. One time and I got it. No delay, cry. So that's his experience. And a lot of people actually have that one-time application and actually getting the visas, unlike others who've tried for so many times and they never get it. Prince Kaga says, yes. Oh, you tried in 2017 and you didn't get it. Sorry about that, Princess. Bureaucracy says they'll refuse you on a not so smart reason after taking your visa fee. Annie Love says, I've been refused visa for 7 times. Well, I don't know if it's to the US of A or another country, but 7 times is a lot of times. Abraham Kofiabin says, yes, I was refused recently just because of one little mistake in my documents. But you see, that's the trick. That one little mistake means a lot to, you know, countries when you want to, you know, come over to their place. Mensa Kobe says, yeah, all right, I'm not sure we want to read this. Godwin Amesi says, it's not easy at all, twice, and even this year. So it means you've tried thrice. Albert Goodday says, and my question is, how many of theirs have we also refused? Well, you want to know how many Americans wanting to come to Ghana have been refused visas. That would be an interesting statistics to find out. Well, Signboard thinks, well, that's their business. I don't care. Doc Cardi says, is it forced? They should stop applying for the visas like that. Well, I don't know why there's an attack on Nigerians. Well, I don't know why Nigerians are being brought into the whole argument. But Richard Bill says, stay in your country, Ghana. Maxwell thinks it's very sad. And Henry Nana says, yeah, I wish I could share my story, but it's actually a long one, so he actually doesn't share it. And Nana Makwaku is actually exclaiming, I'm sure, at the statistics. So there you have it. If you want to, read more on this, I'm sure you can Google and get more details on that particular one. But it's now time to go back to when President Akufo-Addo was addressing the UN General Assembly. And there's this particular photo, and this was captured while the president was delivering his speech. Take a look at the photo first, and then we'll pick your comments on it. So right there you can see Gender Minister Otiko Afisa-Japa holding her phone with Deputy Chief of Staff Abu Jinapor, and we are told they were taking a selfie while the president was addressing the UN General Assembly. A lot of backlash, 14 shares, 112 comments. Nana Kwesi Asare-Donkor thinks it's actually below standard, that we'll put this up, but Efo Maxwell Aflete says some youth in this country talk well, like they're on drugs. If the NDC did that before, so what? All right, obviously you would expect that people play politics with this. Isaac Eshen says, I used to read your news every morning. Well, you were waiting to read about the speech. Isaac, there is actually a post about the speech, and if you go down to our Facebook page, it is there. There's so many angles to the news, and we cannot tell just one part of it, okay? There are two replies to Isaac's comment. I just want to see what people are saying about Isaac's comment there. Okay, they actually think it's sad. Akosia Inchua Papibi. Kwame Favor Henry says, why is it becoming a national agenda when there's so much to talk about in the country? Right of Sapong laughs and says, Ghana people in comedy, how do you know it's a selfie? Well, do you see them taking any picture or looking on a phone? We play too much, we never use our brains. Sadat Umanu, who says it's very, very normal for first timers. Let's allow them to enjoy their stay. Asiedu Mensa says, we have almost 70 comments here on this issue, which is not going to help the country in any way. Why do we love this habit of perpetuating unnecessary issues? And Julius Afedi thinks a phone can be used for several activities. Maybe they were actually not taking a selfie. Friend Mensa Nyako also thinks so. He thinks they were not taking a selfie. But if you actually watched the video, because we live streamed it here on Joy News, you can see the gender minister tap Abu Jinapor to look at something on her phone or to take a selfie or however it is you want to interpret. Well, Gabi Part says these are people who say they're intellectuals. Well, he thinks this is not too good for a minister, and Diron thinks it's a mark of indiscipline. It's common in our parliament to see MPs Facebooking and receiving calls. Maybe we've carried parliament to the UN General Assembly. I don't know. Kabdan Yantichi Sapon says, so how does this become news to a big media house like Joy News? All right. He thinks when there's so many topics we could impact the day positively. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for your comments. As always, people will think something is not news or the other is news. But not to sound defensive, I always say that news is what matters to people. It may not matter to you, but matter to someone else. But the whole point is that, yes, we did carry other angles of the president's speech at the UN General Assembly. Just go onto our Facebook page, we posted that. And earlier, even as we were discussing the one on the president saying that the UN General Assembly must be fair to Africa, and it's a subject we've spoken about extensively. So yes, the president spoke. Yes, we did report. Yes, something else happened. And yes, we did report that also. My name is Bernice Abubedu. Many thanks for your company here on Joy News.